Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tearing down the ultimate blueprint for SAP Adobe Forms. Look, whether you're an ABAP developer, a basis admin, or an SAP architect, you know how crucial this is. We're going to walk through the whole shebang, from the raw technical setup all the way to those hidden licensing traps that you absolutely need to avoid.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the new SAP standard. Then, setting up the foundation, building your first form, optimizing for performance, and finally, the licensing catch. Let's dive right in.
All right, part one, the new SAP standard.
So what started as a strategic partnership between SAP and Adobe way back in 2002 actually culminated in the 2005 launch of Adobe Forms. And today, well, it's the definitive standard. It's completely replaced older legacy tools like Script and SmartForms. And honestly, it makes sense, right? Because it brilliantly separates the back-end programming from the visual design. This gives both developers and business users just an unprecedented amount of flexibility.
Moving on to part two, setting up the foundation. Think of your SAP environment kind of like a construction site. Before we can even think about designing the beautiful interior of our forms, we've got to pour the concrete foundation. And in this case, that foundation is Adobe Document Services, or ADS for short. It lives on the SAP NetWeaver Java stack, and it is strictly required to render literally any Adobe form. Put simply, without ADS installed and running, nothing else we talk about today is going to work. It's the engine under the hood.
And if we actually look under that hood, you can see exactly how ABAP print programs and WebDynjo applications rely on this central ADS hub. The data flow is pretty straightforward, but crucial. It moves from the ABAP side, passes through the RFC destination, and goes straight into the Adobe Document Services web service. It's just a really elegant, centralized way to handle heavy document generation.
Now, to make that architecture actually function, you need some back-end plumbing. On one side, you've got to configure the RFC destination using transaction SM59. This links your ABAP environment over to the external ADS server. And then on the other side, you need to activate the Forms Processing Service, which you do in transaction SICF. Both of these are absolutely non-negotiable steps for your basis team.
Once your plumbing is all hooked up, you have to test it. Seriously, don't skip this. Just run transaction SFP, go up to Utilities, then Settings, and hit Connection to ADS. Getting that satisfying green light success confirmation, man, it's mandatory before you actually start building anything.
Which brings us to part three, building your first form.
Okay, here's your actual construction blueprint. Step 1, you define your data interface, right in transaction SFP. That sets up your import parameters and tables. Step 2, you design the visual layout over in Lifecycle Designer. Step 3, well, that's the magic moment. That's mapping and binding your SAP data fields to those visual components you just made. And finally, step 4, you trigger the entire process via code in your ABAP program.
Now, during step 2, you're practically going to live inside Adobe Lifecycle Designer. The good news is it provides a really intuitive drag-and-drop environment. You can place static logos right alongside interactive drop-downs or checkboxes without breaking a sweat. Need some dynamic calculations? Easy. You can just inject some scripting via JavaScript or FormCalc. Honestly, it is a massive, much-needed upgrade from those rigid old SAP script text editors we used to deal with.
So, to integrate your finished masterpiece back into SAP, you just use the generated function module from transaction SFP. You call this function directly inside your MOP report, pass in your data parameters, and boom! SAP automatically hands it off to ADS to do all the heavy lifting of the actual PDF creation.
All right, section 4, optimizing for performance.
Okay, so you've successfully built the form. Awesome. But let's tackle a boss-level challenge here, making sure your mass printing doesn't completely crush your system resources. On the Lifecycle Designer side, do yourself a favor and stick to standard fonts like Courier or Arial. Why? Well, because custom fonts have to be embedded into every single generated PDF. That bloats your file sizes and totally bottlenecks your rendering speeds. Also, enable form caching and strictly limit any heavy JavaScript. Basically, keep the form lean.
Meanwhile, over in the SAP Form Builder, you want to keep your data retrieval hyper-focused. Build individual forms per business scenario rather than trying to cram 50 edge cases into one giant megaform. It just doesn't work well. Structure your context tree logically, and always deactivate context nodes that you aren't actively using for that specific output. Trust me, it saves the system from dragging a bunch of useless, heavy data around in the background.
What if you're firing off thousands of invoices all at once? Well, system-wide bundling and parallel processing are going to be your absolute best friends here. By bundling those templates and opening parallel streams, you drastically slash the runtime of large print requests. It's the best way to dodge those massive bottlenecks on your SAP server.
Finally, Section 5, the licensing catch.
So, we've built the forms, we've optimized them, but before we go deploying anything to production, we have to navigate the tricky reality of SAP licensing. And the fundamental difference lies right here. A non-interactive form is purely for print. It just displays read-only data. But an interactive form, that allows users to physically input data into editable fields right within the PDF, and then it writes it back to the database. And in SAP's eyes, these two things are drastically different.
And here is the catch, straight from SAP Note 750784. You are going to trigger an additional license fee if you do any of these three things. 1. Create custom interactive templates. 2. Modify the data bindings of standard SAP interactive templates. Or 3. Have end users actually filling in these interactive PDFs during production business operations. Look, swapping out a logo, that's fine. But making structural changes, that is for sure going to cost you.
However, you can breathe a sigh of relief if you're only doing standard system printing. If you're exclusively generating read-only invoices, purchase orders, or packing slips, you're good. Those pure print, not interactive forms are completely covered by your existing standard SAP NetWeaver license. No extra fees required. So now that you understand the complete blueprint, from pouring that Java stock foundation all the way to navigating those strict licensing rules, it is time to evaluate your own SAP environment. Ask yourself, are your forms truly optimized for peak performance? And honestly, more importantly, if you're deploying interactive forms, are you 100% sure you're properly licensed? It is definitely something you'll want to check before your next audit. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.